and you need a mobile welding job right now, call the professionals at AAK Mechanical in Clinton, 935-8501. That's 935-8501. AAK Mechanical's mobile welding unit will be on their way to fix that problem and get harvest going again. Put this number in your smartphone, 935-8501, for the mobile welding service from AAK Mechanical in Clinton.
WHOW Combine Reports are brought to you by AAK Mechanical in Clinton, Apex Clean Energy, Baum Chevy Buick, Farm Credit Illinois, Peterson Insurance, Longview Community Bank, Illinois Corn Marketing Board, State Bank of Bement, and Macon County Farm Bureau.
News time is 10 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Friday. From the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Seth Lawrence with this local news update. Constellation recently agreed to a deal with Meta that will result in $1 million in donations to DeWitt County nonprofits. Mandy Reese with the Neighborhood Care Center indicates they have been partnering with Constellation for some time now. However, they received an email from the company in April looking to partner together again.
It's no secret Constellation has been a huge supporter of Neighborhood Care Center for a really long time. They are always super supportive to us, and so we are so appreciative of that. With this Constellation and Meta partnership, that they were going to be committing $1 million over 5 years into the Clinton area and surrounding communities, and that they had kind of chosen Neighborhood Care Center as one of those entities that would be receiving some of those funds. And so that's really exciting. That all starts in 2026, but they were like, with the remaining year of 2025, we still have funds to give out. And they were like, we'd like to give you $45,000. For us is huge.
The NCC ultimately decided to use the money to insulate and wrap part of the Clinton location that serves as the organization's distribution center. Reese adds part of their change will include Kelly Rempe transitioning to the role of distribution center director. Learn more about all the services offered by the Neighborhood Care Center in Clinton and McLean County by visiting neighborhoodcarecenter.net or find them on Facebook. Get news anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. We take a look at sports next.
Closeout time is here for a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have a good selection of 25 Silverados remaining in regular and crew cab models with gas or diesel engines. Some with utility beds and dual roof wheels. Also see our remaining Colorados, Trailblazers, even our full-size Suburban and Tahoes, all priced to move out. See our 25 inventory today at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Clinton will give some young players starting reps as they take on Shelbyville in Heart of Central Illinois Conference high school football action tonight in Shelbyville. In a 56-6 loss to Tri-Valley last week, the Maroons snapped a 3-game shutout streak when sophomore Marshawn Finch's 65-yard rush set up a 1-yard touchdown from Cole Thomas. Coach Ron Bass says it was a good opportunity for two key players of the future in his offense.
It was good to get on the scoreboard for sure, and of course a big run there by a sophomore Marshawn, who has that capability to be able to, if you don't get him squared up, he can definitely make you miss. And of course we gave him a hard time for not getting into the end zone, but Cole Thomas got in, and that's good for our young guys, right? That that's going to be your future there, between those two guys. So it was definitely nice for them. Obviously, from a varsity standpoint, not getting into the end zone is still frustrating, but at the same time, when you see what we're working with and what we're up against, it's it's going to be difficult.
With 2/3 of the high school football season behind us, Coach Bass feels he and his staff are more of teachers right now than coaches, as young players get set to make a varsity start for the first time this week against a tough Shelbyville team.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we've got so many people moving different positions. This week we moved some people around just because due to some injuries and things. And so there's still a lot of teaching going on. We're teaching the game still. I would say we're more teachers than coaches right now. Our staff is, because there's still lots to learn. I would say our kids, don't have a high football IQ. And so in order to do that, you're going to have to take some time teaching them, rules and terminology and things like that over the course of the season. So we had to move Van Angel from tackle to guard. We'll have a freshman, Bryce Miller, who will be getting his first varsity start at offensive tackle. Clint Wilson at center. We're missing Dalton Toms this week with a hip injury. We're missing Blake Gundy with a hand injury. So we're just like a lot of other people, we're beat up. We just don't have a whole lot of people to replace, and so we're going to be pretty thin on Friday.
Shelbyville boasts a prolific passing game, and Coach Bass says this will be a change from the run-heavy teams they've faced this season. This week, his team, though, has been focused on offensive output and execution.
We'll see some different things. They'll give us some different formations. They're always well coached. Coach Duckett always does a good job of having his kids ready to play, and so it'll be a great challenge for our kids. Like I said, when I've talked to our seniors and to our kids, you've got X number of practices left, you have X number of padded experiences left. Cherish those moments and enjoy those moments as much as you can. Well, no, it's just really for us, it's just a matter of we're always focused on, hey, let's get better, let's execute better. Obviously, offensively, we're looking to try to score. We're going to try moving some pieces around just to see if we can get some matchups that we like. But, it'll be difficult to do, but, that's part of it. And so we're hoping to be able to move the ball a little bit more effectively than we have. Like I said, we're going to be going in we'll have a lot of freshmen again playing. So, you're going to see some, the inexperience is only going to be even more this week with the number of freshmen we'll be playing and dressing. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for those kids, and we'll see what happens.
The Maroons come into Week 7 of the season winless at 0-6, while Shelbyville enters play at 4-2. Here tonight's action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. Kickoff is scheduled for 7 o'clock. Tonight in the heart of Central Illinois Conference, Leroy plays host to Hayworth. Warrensburg-Latham is at DMAC. Ridgeview-Lexington travels to Fieldcrest. El Paso Gridley hosts Eureka. And Tri-Valley is at Tremont. One game of final already. Tuscola over Fisher in a forfeit. Monticello will look to continue its run of good play when it hosts Pontiac tonight in Illini Prairie Conference high school football action. Monticello pulled off the 28-21 upset over St. Joseph Ogden on the road last week, and Coach Coley Welter says his team's performance was very strong, and you can see some of his younger and inexperienced kids starting to understand what they want to do.
Yeah, I think we focused a little bit more on the run game. We felt we could run. They were giving us a lighter box than we expected. We also expected more man coverage, and they were giving us more zone. So we thought there were some things we could do against that offensively. And fortunately, our kids online and our ball carriers executed properly. And then defensively, just a couple different blitz schemes, but for the most part, didn't give up the big play, which is what St. Joe likes to do to you, like to overwhelm you with all the window dressing and whatnot, and we didn't fall for that as much in the second half. I feel like ever since Rantoul, it's certainly not been perfect, but there's been a better focus in practice. Even the times where practice is kind of going off the rails, we get back on the rails. We don't let it just completely go to waste. Yes, I thought we had another pretty solid. There were some times where we had to get on them this week, but pretty solid week of practice. So I feel like our mindset is in the right place. I feel like we know this is a huge game for us against Pontiac, and that we're not resting on our laurels after a big win against St. Joe. We know that is more, that we're treating that more as hopefully a springboard, not necessarily like the high point of our season.
Pontiac enters action at 2-4 overall, and Coach Welter notes it is a program going in the right direction. It is a team the Sages cannot take lightly.
Yeah, I talking to coaches earlier and then seeing them on film. They're definitely a team that's on the upswing. It's been a rebuilding endeavor for Coach Gadberry over there, and they're making progress, and they're still relatively young, but they've got good numbers, and they've done some really good things this year. Offensively in particular, they run the ball really well, and then defensively they're pretty aggressive. So it's a team that's 2-4, but they're I would say better than what their record indicates, and it's definitely a pretty even competition on paper. Execute on offense in regards to making sure we continue to be assignment sound. I think that's one thing that's been very positive this year, particularly with our offensive line, that we haven't made a lot of mental errors. They're going to give us some different looks. They're going to be a 3-3 stack, which is always an aggressive defense. So we're going to get some blitzing, and so we've got to be able to pick that up, and you always want to attack the blitz, not absorb the blitz. So make them not want to do those types of things. And then defensively, we just got to get off the field. They're going to try to milk the clock. They're going to play. They're going to run the ball 85% of the time, and they're going to try to stay on the field as long as possible. So if we can just get them in some 3 and outs and hopefully move the ball in offense, that'll give us a good opportunity.
After a win but lackluster performance over Rantoul in Week 3, Coach Welter has been looking for more from his team and feels much better about his team at the 2/3 mark of the season than he did after Week 3.
Yeah, you always want to be cautious because you know how things can change in a heartbeat, right? Day to day, things, especially with young kids, can change. I definitely feel like, I was disappointed after Week 3 after the Rantoul victory, and I feel like our kids are making strides, and we just want to continue to emphasize that we have to continue to make strides because we know we're not so talented that we're just going to show up and beat any team on our schedule, and hopefully they take that to heart. I think you take a kind of a holistic approach, sort of a macro and a micro level, right? You're going to look at what you need to do that week, and then you do look over the course of the season. Okay, here's where we're improving, here's where we're not, or and why is that? What is the reason? So yeah, I think you're always looking at both season long and week long things to try to get better.
Game time tonight is 7 o'clock. Hear all the action starting with a pregame around 6:45 on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. In the Illini Prairie Conference tonight, St. Joe Ogden visits Bloomington Central Catholic, Rantoul hosts Prairie Central, and PBL is at Tolono Unity. In the Apollo Conference tonight, it'll be at Mount Zion visiting Effingham. Mattoon plays host to Mahomet Seymour, and Taylorville hosts Charleston. Big 12 Conference action this week. Normal Community is at Danville. Normal West plays host to Peoria Manual. Champaign Central is at Peoria. Bloomington travels to Peoria Notre Dame, and Urbana plays host to Peoria Richwoods. Central State 8 action tonight. Lincoln plays host to Chatham Glenwood. Decatur Eisenhower is at Normal U High. Decatur MacArthur travels to Rochester. Jacksonville is at Quincy Notre Dame. Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin takes on Springfield High, and Springfield Southeast takes on Springfield Lanphier. In the Lincoln Prairie tonight, Oakland Tri-County is at Argenta Orienta. Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond plays host to Nokomis. Sullivan is at Toledo Cumberland, and Villa Grove hosts Sangamon Valley. Mid-Illini Conference action tonight. Washington is at Dunlap for a Mid-Illini showdown. Metamora hosts Limestone. East Peoria is at Morton, and Canton visits Pekin. Sangamo Conference action tonight. Petersburg Porta is at Athens. Pittsfield hosts Pleasant Plains. Riverton hosts Auburn. Maroa Forsyth travels to Olympia, and New Berlin is at Williamsville. Non-conference football action this week. Central A&M is at Decatur St. Teresa. Champaign Centennial is at Dalton Thornridge. GCMS hosts Mantino, and IVC is at Rock Falls. The 17th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini are preparing for a tremendous challenge in top-ranked Ohio State. Ohio State rolled to a 42-3 win over Minnesota last Saturday. Now the 17th ranked Illini will try to stop quarterback Julian Sayin, receivers Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, and running back Bo Jackson in a conference game Saturday afternoon in Champaign. The Buckeyes averaged 37.5 points a game, while the Illini are not far behind at 37. with quarterback Luke Altmaier leading the way with a 73.6% completion rate. He has 12 touchdown passes and no interceptions this season. Altmaier will face an Ohio State defense that has allowed an average of 5 points per game to lead the nation and has yielded just 2 touchdowns. Altmaier threw for a career-high 390 yards on 19 of 22 completions with a 62-yard touchdown pass to Hank Beatty, who had 5 catches and a career-high 186 yards in a 43-27 win at Purdue last Saturday. The game, coupled with a 34-32 win against then 21st ranked USC on September 27th, showed Illinois has bounced back from a humiliating 63-10 loss at then 19th ranked Indiana back on September 20th. The Illini may be bolstered by the return from injuries of center Josh Kreutz and running back Aiden Lafferty. Game time is 11 o'clock on Saturday. Following a tough conference opener against the top-ranked team in the country at home last season, 9th-ranked Illinois State hits the road for a weekend matchup with Murray State as both teams look for their first league wins of the year in a battle of FCS top 10 programs. 6th-ranked Illinois State trailed top-ranked North Dakota State by just 2 points heading to the fourth quarter. However, the top-ranked Bison scored 15 unanswered in the final 15 minutes of action to pull away from the Redbirds for a 33-16 Saturday night on Jay and Lori Bergman Field at Hancock Stadium. The Racers are winless on the season at 0-5 and dropped their Missouri Valley Conference opener last week at South Dakota 49-24. Quarterback Jim Okel was 16 of 30 for 183 yards with a touchdown and no picks, while former Redbird J.K. Carter became the first Racer in 12 years to catch a touchdown pass, throw for a touchdown in the same game. Game time is 6 o'clock Saturday night in Murray, Kentucky. After its second straight OVC Big South win over Tennessee State, Illinois State gets set to welcome Gardner-Webb to O'Brien Field in Charleston on Saturday afternoon. The Panthers improved to 3-2 overall and 2-0 in the conference with their 31-7 win over Tennessee State. The 2-0 start in OVC Big South play is the best conference start for the Panthers since the 2017 season when EIU opened conference play 4-0. Gardner-Webb is 3-2 and 1-0 in the OVC Big South after a win over Charleston Southern last Saturday. Eastern Illinois ran 75 plays against Tennessee State as the Panthers possessed the ball for nearly 40 minutes for the second time this season. Game time is 2 o'clock on Saturday. Hear the action starting with a 1:30 pregame on WHOW and all its digital platforms. The ageless Joe Flacco will try to help the Bengals beat the Green Bay Packers just 3 weeks after he defeated Green Bay as the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback, the only quarterback to beat the same opponent twice in one season while playing for two teams was Jack Kemp, who led the AFL's Buffalo Bills and the San Diego Chargers past the New York Titans in 1962. The 2-3 Cincinnati Bengals acquired Flacco after losing 3 straight games by a combined score of 113-37 with Jake Browning as their starting quarterback. The Bengals, of course, had to turn to Browning after 2-time Pro Bowl quarterback Joe Burrow hurt his left toe, an injury that is expected to sideline him for 3 months. Flacco finished 21 of 36 for 142 yards with an interception and no touchdown passes in the Browns' 13-10 triumph over the Packers on September 21st. Cleveland won by scoring 13 straight points in the last 3 minutes and 38 seconds. The Packers at 2-1-1 are coming back from a bye week as they seek to regain their momentum they established earlier this season in home wins over Detroit and Washington. They followed that up by losing to Cleveland and getting a 40-all tie at Dallas. Green Bay's Micah Parsons, though, is tied for 4th in the league with 26 pressures and has 2 games this season in which he recorded at least 8. The Packers sacked Flacco twice in their loss to the Browns. The Packers are averaging 7 yards a carry per 7 yards after contact per reception, which is second highest in the league. Green Bay has also forced just 2 turnovers through 4 games after ranking 4th in the league with 31 takeaways last year. Game time Sunday is 3:25. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Here's Clinton Civil Out owner Dave Jackson on how he monitors prices to help you save money.
I look and see what retail they are at, and I make that decision whether it is a key item or a mid-tier item as far as importance goes, and I make sure I'm either below or close. And in most cases, I try to go below.
Dave and his staff helps you save up to 40% on your grocery bill every day at your locally owned Clinton Save-A-Lot. And as Dave always says,
hope to see you soon.
SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Israel's government has formally approved President Trump's Gaza ceasefire plan. It includes the rapid release of all the hostages being held by Hamas. Despite his peace efforts in Gaza and elsewhere, President Trump did not win the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. This year's recipient is Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. Mortgage fraud is the allegation as New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted by a federal grand jury in Virginia. James claims that she's the victim of weaponization of the justice system. Senate Majority Leader John Thune disappointed the Senate has once again failed to pass a Republican